guess we have to start at the beginning, and I know all of you all have said a prayer for me, and I appreciate it a whole lot. Thank you. Thank you for asking me. Russell said it last night, something I'll never forget, and it was just wonderful. It's my life is no longer ashes, and there is no bitter to my taste. So when I decided to get up out of the ashes and get the bitter out of my mouth, I'm going to tell you, folks, it's sweet, and I'm hanging around with my man to enjoy it. I've had the bitter, so I'm going to enjoy the sweet. And like the old saying, how sweet it is. Well, a time and I courted with the cocktails, with the social drinks, and with the dances, and with the jokes, and with the living that we thought was living. And we had a hilarious time and just a marvelous courtship. And we entered into this marriage the same way. I thought, really and truly, it was a marriage, how everybody operated. And we had our drinks, and I don't care what anybody says. If anybody takes a drink, they are going to get too much on occasions, and which happened to me. I mean, I've been drunk, and I've had hangovers, too, not like Tom, thank God, but I've been a few mornings I didn't feel too well, and I thought that this was the marriage. And it was wonderful. Now, my husband was not much of a dancer, and I thought I was the butterfly of the ball. And I loved to dress up and go to dances. And I noticed the more he got into his system of this sweet nectar, the better he could dance. And he could kind of keep up with me on the ballroom floor. And so I would watch him and just hope he'd get just one more. And then I'm telling you, he was hot foot Cox. Now I'm telling you, he could sashay me around that dance hall just like I wanted everybody to see me. And we had a marvelous time, so we thought. But then everything fell apart. And I did not like Tom being drunk. Now, I thought if he drank drink for drink with me, everything would be fine. I didn't drink too much. And I got the rosy glow, and that's what I wanted him to have. But, and I couldn't understand it. Listen, we have a drink for drink, and he'd be drunk. I thought, well, of course, I didn't know he was a bush drinker going out in the yard with the bushes, you know. A bush drinker, you had the bottle in the bushes, that is. And he was an under the porch drinker, you know. He had the bottles under the porch, and, well, I did not realize this was happening to him. All of a sudden he was drunk, and I wasn't. But I didn't like that. And then, of course, I started. Now, the shrew that Shakespeare portrayed was a little angel compared to what went on into my house. And nobody could tame me at this point because, of course, everything wrong I did, which I thought was right. And nobody could ever convince me that my behavior was not exemplary, was not perfect. I was not the perfect wife, the perfect mother on the block, even though I know now that really and truly, had my behavior not been so, the chaos would not have been like it was. And actually, I was in God's way. I think a lot of times Al and I get in God's way. I know I did. I was in God's way. Well, of course, I threatened to leave. Then I said, Tom, I'm going to throw you out. And you alcoholics are a stubborn group. I'm going to tell you. I never met one that didn't say, well, listen, Evelyn, or marriage, anybody going to get it, going to be you, doll, not me. So, of course, I got that. Now, I don't know where I was going anyway, because I know one night, I did leave him, pregnant with 2. And I knocked on my mother's door and told her, I had come with my 2 children and me. And she said, well, that's fine, Evelyn. You can spend the night and then go home tomorrow. And I knew I couldn't go home. So I had no idea, with all this threatening, where I was going. I remember one time I even had my lawyer write him a letter, and it cost me $25. A threatening letter. And I had to pay it. Well, I did all of the nothing right. I would take my mattress off my bed, and when Tom was drunk, and haul it down of the long haul, as long as, and put my mattress on another bed with the mattress on it now. I wouldn't go in there. I had to take my mattress off my twin bed in Tom's in my room. And then Tom was sober up, and I said, Tom, help me take this mattress back. Not going to do it, Evelyn. Didn't throw you out. You want to come back, you can anytime. Devil never would help me bring my mattress back and put it on my bed. I couldn't understand that. That's good thinking. This isn't insane, is it, folks? That's logical, rational thinking. I thought every wife should do that. Well, then, oh, Ross, you talk about diarrhea of the mouth, honey. I exhausted my friends and my relatives. And God bless Lillian. She would listen to me by the day, and I would have to go home and get my children when they came home from school. Forgot to tell Lillian something, and on the phone I'd go over this whole ordeal of drunkenness for at least an hour. Now, my relatives and friends thought that I was under this big burden, this little girl with these 4 children and a drunken husband. And when they said, look at Evelyn, that burden she had, God love her. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. My halo never slipped. It got shinier and shinier. Not one time did that thing ever fall off. When I wallowed in my sea of self-pity and in my martyrdom, I thought, well, I looked around at my neighbors. There was nobody that could handle things like I was. Now, I really wasn't managing these things. I wanted to. My life was not unmanageable. It was Tom Cox. Now, if he would do like I said, his behavior like I outlined it, we'd be perfect. We'd have the perfect marriage. And not only, you alcoholics are a stubborn group. You won't ever do anything we say. No matter how much we nag and threat and scream and holler and cry. I read an article in the newspaper about Alcoholic Information Center. Now, about 19 years ago, 18, now, we did not have Al-Anon in my part of Virginia. And I went to this center. My husband's been sober 18 years. Isn't that great? And I'm trying to grow. I might be long about 8, just about 8 of those. But I went to this Alcoholic Information Center and poured my biography to this minister. And I knew he had never heard such a story in his whole life. Well, he listened with interest and really made me think he'd never heard anything like this for a few minutes. And then he said, but Evelyn, have you ever looked at yourself? And not one time did he pan my husband. He did not say one unkind word about him. Well, I did think about that. I thought that this was a very generous man, and, he was being kind of nice. But I did think about it. And I bought books he recommended that I buy, and I read. At last, alcoholism is a family disease, and it is a disease and not a disgrace. And even though I had tried to be the best of everything and to hold my head high, I was really ashamed with the disgrace. And when I knew that I no longer was disgraced, that I had an ill husband, well, I think maybe I began to think a little bit. Not much, but a little. And I didn't really know where to go. The minister had told me about AA, and I went. And Ollie spoke, and I forgot about time for an hour. And I wanted what Ollie had. And I thought, oh God, if when time comes, he'll want this. I knew he would. Because this man that I live with is a good, righteous man, a giant of a man spiritually. And even then he was. Because I'm going to tell you, he'd get drunk, and for 2 or 3 weeks, you'd see him sitting in his chair with his Bible, living at the foot of the cross, I'd say. I'd say, you're right there, Tom, right at the foot of that cross with that Bible, but he was really searching. Now I know. So I went to AA, and I loved it, and I loved all of the people. I'm sure more than they loved me, because a miserable wretch, who could love you? And I went to Al-Anon and latched on to the program for myself. You people told me that I have to want to be restored to sanity. I have to want my life to be manageable, and I have to seek this, and you taught me how to do it. Aren't we all from Christian homes? Me too. And I had always believed in God. So it wasn't hard for me to say God and to identify with anybody who told me God is love. I knew it. I had been reared this way, and of course I believe it more today than then, because I understood when you told me that I could have God like I understood him. Now I have to understand God like a little child. I have to have the faith of a little child and believe. And from that point, I can I will grow with God's help. God has proven to me that through the power of prayer, that he can move mountains, which he did in our home. He took this this chaos of alcoholism, and made it a stepping stone for Tom and me and my family to step on and reach to the mountaintop, to reach out for God. And when we took this and turned it around and stepped on it, it became meaningful to us. The Al-Anon program and the AA program have taught us to laugh once again. Aren't we happy? Aren't we glad that we can laugh about these things that we did, these things that we said to each other, even though at the time they were so tragic. For example, when I planned Tom's funeral, which I did often, now I prayed for the death, and I said, God, if you don't kill him, I will. I can do it. So I knew he was going to be a corpse, and I could handle this for God. And I bought the black dress because I was going to my niece's wedding, and I thought that I could wear the black dress there, the aunt of the bride, and then go to the funeral. Now, this dress had a ruffle up the back, ladies, and I had 4-inch black suede shoes on, and I sashayed to the wedding hoping for the funeral. And we always had double indemnity on the insurance, which was a godsend in these dreams. Now, I planned my business empire with the money. I was going to be Helena Rubinstein, cosmetic empire, or some big real estate developer, out here, and because I was going to get the money, honey. Now, I planned this, but I tell you, one thing that worried me was the pallbearers. And I didn't know whether I could get enough of the drunks to be sober long enough, to help me put this man away with some semblance of dignity. So he had a boat, and he loved fishing, and was always in that boat. And I said, well, I figured it out, Tom. I used to tell him, I said, got it all figured out. I'm going to put you in that boat when you die, and a suit on you. I'm not going to buy you a suit. And I'm going to put a bottle of 4 Roses for your spray and send you out to sea. I really did. I used to talk to this man. Why? I don't know why he didn't kill me. But that's what we laugh at these funny things now. And we just got a big kick out of this. I remember Tom had a hat. Now, this was in the days of the wide brim felt hat, and he'd be drunk, and I don't know where in the world you go when you get drunk, because the hat became what I termed ruffled, the brim like this. And he'd come home drunk. I said, I think I could stand if you didn't wear the ruffled hat. It's just something what happened to this ruffled hat. I remember one time he brought home a Christmas tree, and which was about twice the height of the ceiling that we lived in, a low ceiling, a little apartment we had, and this thing was about like that. Well, of course, I didn't do a thing but open the door and heave that Christmas tree from the second story out the window down there on the street. Now we've got a Christmas tree, and I ran down there to retrieve the thing. Somebody stole it. Couldn't find that Christmas tree. So we laugh about things like that. And my Al-Anon friends and my AA friends taught me to do this. That life is not so bad that we cannot laugh about it. And in the Bible, there's a verse that God laughed. And when I read that, I liked it. I liked that because I thought If God can laugh, he means for us to laugh. He does not mean for us not to laugh and be loving and sweet towards each other. Now, I have to grow with time. And I'll tell you, it's an inspiration to see him on his knees in the morning, asking for help, and on his knees again at night with a prayer of thanksgiving. And it's helped me. It said, Evelyn, get up off your lazy butt, and keep up with him. We have to do that. He's taught me the power of prayer. And we've had many conversations, almost daily, about what we think of God, what God has done for us that day, how God has led my alcoholic husband into being a spiritual, religious, righteous man, someone that his family can emulate, and someone that we look up to and we love, and his children, I'm going to tell you, they love this. They love that daddy. They really do. And it's wonderful to see them with him. He's made God to me real and warm just through his program of Alcoholics Anonymous and mine through AA. In fact, he's been the leader of this in his home. I'm sure without it we wouldn't be where we are today. I know that. We've all heard, this too shall pass. Now, we've had problems since both of us have been sober, because I didn't get sober. I had an alcoholic fogged up mind, even from the disease that had penetrated the whole family. Now, I had to be restored to sanity, and we've had problems. But when you're sober and when you have a semblance of sanity, you can deal with it. And it haven't been too bad that that they have thrown us, that we haven't been able to cope and to deal with this. Now, we're all familiar with this too shall pass, which signifies that today's problems will have less of an impact tomorrow with the passing of time. But what about this too shall last, which signifies that for today and tomorrow, my prayer life will be increased, my love and knowledge of God will grow, and the spiritual message of these 12 steps will be embedded in my heart with the passing of time. God bless you.